Teachers K-12. We want to celebrate today with you that we have 20,000 members now of online Art Teachers K-12 as of just a few moments ago. And we need something to celebrate in these times. And I thought one thing that maybe we could do is just take a little trip down memory lane. I know it may seem odd to celebrate a number like 20,000, but in these times, indeed, we do need some things to celebrate. And we need to keep our focus on things that bring us joy and are positive, because there are a lot of challenges around us, as you well know. I'm thinking back to, I believe, the evening of March 9th of 2020. When I went to bed that night, I had read a Facebook post from an art teacher in Snohomish, Washington, where the first case of COVID appeared in the United States. And to me, the teacher's post was full of trauma. The teacher had just received word that their school building was shutting down and they were not to come in the next morning. They couldn't get anything out of it, and they were to stay at home for further notice and prepare to teach remotely. And this teacher just kind of let it all come out in this post. It was a very short post, but I remember her saying, "How am I going to do this?" When I went to bed that night, I slept fitfully. I was geographically located in Texas, and I knew Washington was halfway across the United States. But logic said if it was in Washington, it would be in Texas at some point. And I think the thing for us all to remember is we were in an emergency state of mind that week. We had seen what had happened in Wuhan and northern Italy, and we were all very unsure what was about to happen in the United States. We had seen news reports of people, unfortunately, just dropping dead on the streets of Wuhan, China. The death toll was very high. The death toll was incredibly high in northern Italy. And I read that one of the reasons for that was there were a lot of direct flights from Wuhan to northern Italy because of the leather industry there. So I think we all braced ourselves for the unknown and something potentially horrible. And I slept fitfully that night, and I thought, I have to do something. What can I do? I feel helpless. I feel helpless. And when I got up the next morning, this is the simple truth of the matter. I just heard a voice in my head. I heard a voice say, "Help, and help now." And I fought that voice. I said to myself, "Oh, I don't want to be that public," or "No one will want to work together to get through this. This will be embarrassing. I'll put this out there that I'll help and no one will be interested in the help. And this is going to be too public and it'll probably not be needed." And I guess I thought, I could just look silly for even trying. I'm being very realistic with you all. Those thoughts went through my head that morning, but I heard this voice saying, "Do it, and do it now." And so the very first thing that I did, thinking it would work, was I made a short video sitting at this very desk where I'm at right now at my home in Texas. I actually live in 2 states. I was a public school teacher and a private school teacher in Texas for 20 years. And the last 8 years I've been in higher ed, coordinating an art education program at Kansas State University. And the last year and a half I've been at the University of Central Arkansas as a tenure track assistant professor of art education. So I live in 2 states, and I'm home now for the holiday semester break. I sat right here in this chair, right here in this office, and made that very first video. And I took a deep breath, and I went out and I posted that video in every social media group out there. And I created an email address that I shared in the post and asked people that were interested in participating in a Google Classroom where we could work together and help each other with curriculum and other needs to email me. And I was shocked at what happened. That would have been March 10th, and I got 600 emails within a few hours. I feel like I answered all of them. I hope I did, but I realized that the Google Classroom was not going to work. We couldn't have 600 people in a Google Classroom. So I took a deep breath, started a Facebook page, shared that. I eventually answered within maybe 2 days' time every email, but I knew I needed help. So I reached out to art teachers that I knew that were good leaders that might help me. I probably emailed 15 people across the United States. We were in an emergency situation. I mean, seriously, we thought that people might start dying all over the state of Washington that day. We didn't know what was going to happen. And there was no time to think of who I was asking and if the people I was asking were representative of different parts of the United States, different regions, different diversities. It was just an all hands on deck. Email people that I knew were good leaders and used Facebook, and maybe they would help me. That's how this started. And by golly, Bob Reeker. I don't know what I would do without Bob Reeker, and I'm sure many of you that have worked with Bob feel the same way. Bob was the first teacher I heard back from, and I just remember him saying something like, "I'm in, let me know what I can do to help." That's the kind of person Bob is. And from there on, things happened quickly. We made weekly videos. We created a Google Drive for you all to share curriculum in. It was our Facebook group became an exchange place where teachers would share curriculum. They would put it in the Google Drive themselves, or Bob worked tirelessly on the Google Drive. He would move things over to the Google Drive. Dr. Sarah Ackerman created a website for us. Our team leaders when we started were Bob Reeker from Nebraska, Sarah Ackerman, who was from Illinois at the time, now she's from Indiana, Kate Miller from Kansas, Marie Taylor from Kansas, and Randy Robart from Ohio, who is very beloved to me and our team and has since passed away, and Beth Dauberstein from Wisconsin. Those were our first team leaders. And that first year, we had a couple team leaders leave and a couple new ones come on board because we were living in very stressful times. There was also so much stress associated with the election, the presidential election, and also some of the terrible racial things that happened. And we all kind of got caught up in all of that. Social media became a forum for all of the frenzy that people were feeling, that art teachers were feeling. And so we gave an opportunity for some of our team leaders, if they felt things were a little too complicated in their personal lives or their work lives, if they needed to step out of being a team leader. And a couple did, and a couple new ones came on. And currently, our team leaders, well, let me just say the ones that have been with us since the very beginning, since March 11th, pretty much when we started the Facebook group, are Bob Reeker, of course, from Nebraska, Sarah Ackerman, Dr. Ackerman from Indiana now, Kate Miller from Kansas, and myself. The four of us have been with us since the beginning. I'm Dr. Trina Harlow, by the way, and I founded and started the group. And then coming on board with us, I've lost track of the timing, maybe 8-9 months into it, was Holly Bess Kincaid from Virginia. And Randy Robart was one of our original team leaders, and boy, we miss him, but Randy lost his life to pancreatic cancer at the beginning of 2021. And then we had Christine Wellman from Bermuda join us, and Jane Montero from Michigan, and Caitlin, she's called Lakiki on social media, but Caitlin Johns from Maryland. And also we have Danny Bryant from South Carolina. I sure hope I haven't forgotten anyone because I never make notes when I make these videos. I think I've mentioned everyone. Those are our team leaders now, and we've worked together so well for about the past year or so. And but back to the story of Online Art Teachers K-12. Once the group got started, this amazing exchange of curriculum, of technology tips and tools, and how to use certain apps and different technological devices, and lifting each other up when people were down. That happened a lot. And all of that happened in the group, and we held 3 digital conferences. We held some other special events. We wrote lots of newsletters and papers, and recently had an article published in Art Ed Journal. And so there's been a lot going on, and Online Art Teachers K-12 also won the NAEA Art Technology Special Interest Groups Community Service of the Year Award. Actually, they had to give it to people, not a group. So Bob Reeker and myself were given that award, but it was really for this group. So we're celebrating today 20,000 members. And I know I read a comment once that someone wrote, why is it important how many members you have? And I'm going to tell you why right now. Because you see, this last 22 months have been a challenge for the entire planet Earth, not just your state or your school district or the United States. It's been a challenge for the whole world. I've never experienced a challenge for the whole world in my 60 years of life. And we team leaders know what's gone on publicly with the group. We know what's gone on behind the scenes with the group. And every step of the way, this service project by art teachers for art teachers in uncertain times has kept its focus professional and kept its focus on what was good for art education and art teachers. And we documented a little bit of history along the way. So why are we celebrating? We're celebrating because now Online Art Teachers K-12 is impacting 20,000 teachers across the planet Earth. I'd say about 80% of them are from the United States. We know that from Facebook Analytics. About 20% of our members are from over 120 countries. We've actually printed the data off and made a list alphabetically of all the countries and shared it a couple of times as a post on the group's webpage. So you bet we're celebrating 20,000 art teachers that have come together, stuck together, or joined the group because, by golly, we are going to get through this. We are not going to let art education be canceled. We're going to keep creativity on the minds of our school administrators. We are going to show that art education can adapt to remote and hybrid learning. We're showing that art teachers are creative minds, the creative ways we look for solutions to problems, that we can be leaders on our campus and help during this time period. And the stories of art teachers helping their entire school campus with how to problem solve and get through this are unreal. So thanks for being a part of this group. And thank you for the work you're doing together to make sure that art education is the best it can be for our students, because you see, we really do impact the future of not only our communities and our regional areas, our nation, but we're making an imprint on the whole world. We're not totally done with this pandemic either, are we? We've got a ways to go. We're not really sure when this is all going to end, but I feel like we're learning how to live with it. And let's hope and pray that it doesn't get worse, that it only gets better. And I'm just proud. I'm just proud to work with all of you. I'm proud of these team leaders that I work with. You know, some of them I've never even met in person. Some of them I only knew by name and social media and through the National Art Education Association. A couple of them I have not met in person, and I can't wait to hug their necks at NAEA in New York City in March if they're there, or when I do get to see them in person. I have found that these relationships we create online, the social exchange that we create online, it can be very real. The relationships can and are very real relationships, profound relationships, impactful relationships that make a huge difference in our lives. So thank you one more time to all of you for making Online Art Teachers K-12 what it is. No one is profiting off this group, not even a penny. And we are all working together. And I know that we're going to get through this. So shout out, 20,000 members, 20,000 art teachers working together.